TikTok, it's time to rock. It's, ladies and gentlemen, this is a landmark for the channel. This is the first official Bro Down. And we have Nelson Rodriguez to thank for the renaming of the midweek show. Nelson, if you watch the replay, if you join us later on, we are going to always acknowledge you and be in debt for that great name, the Bro Down. And remember, when you say the Bro Down, it's got to be the Bro Down. It's got to be like a down. It's got to be a couple of keys down. The Bro Down, because this is a serious midweek show. Bullshit it is. Bullshit it is. Bro, good to see you. What's been happening? Something's been happening where you are. You better tell us what's been happening.
Oh, we had an earthquake this morning. I turned my marshals up too loud. So all of Melbourne felt it. Yeah. Damn marshals. You know, that's what happens when you turn them up to 10. Rattles the houses throughout Melbourne.
Oh, bro. I had a busy day at work, and I normally get opportunities to pull my phone out and check and see what was happening. And I never had a fiddle on my phone for hours. And I think it wasn't until I was getting ready to go home and I had a look on the 5150 group chat, and there was a message there from Kurt saying, "Are you okay?" And jumped on and had, oh my gosh, there was an earthquake in Melbourne. You guys don't get earthquakes over there, do you, normally?
No, well, I think the last one might have been, 5, 6, 7 years ago, but they're never on that scale either. So it was a bit strange. But I tell you, those marshals behind me, they pack a bit of punch. I apologise to every person in Victoria, and I think it's spread even to like Canberra and interstate and stuff like that. I apologise to everyone for turning up my marshals to 10 and causing so much kerfuffle. I really do.
Well, you guys heard it first on the British Electric Blues show. We are the reason. Well, one of our co-hosts is the reason for shaky ground.
Shaky ground.
Standing on shaky ground. Ever since you anyway, no more singing. Brother, good to see you. It's always a pleasure. It's been a while since we've done a Bro Down. A Bro Down.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've been busy, but it's always good to do these. They're very unscripted. This is what do you call it? Andrew and myself unplugged, but we're plugged in, but we're unplugged, so to speak. Yeah. We're not electric guitars today. We're on acoustics. We're raw.
Here's the person. Here's the guy responsible for renaming the midweek show to the Bro Down. Hey, bro, have you got the chat up?
Yes, I've got the chat up here. So we've got Nelson, Simon Williams. We've got Simon. How are you, bro?
Oh, the Rock Professor.
The Rock Professor just popped in now.
Oh.
Cool Music Tech. How are we going? We've got John, ZD351, our good friend John. We've got Arvin, Hobo Roadie. We've got Pride of Gothenburg. Thank you for joining us. Derek Clapton. That's really Eric Clapton. We know that.
Yeah. Hey, Eric.
Yeah. Teresa, thanks Teresa for joining us, and Johnny Bean. Johnny Bean's here.
Hey, Mr. Bean.
So we're talking all about our one and only.
That's not Slash, is it? No.
Look.
Oh yeah, I know that. I'm just being silly. Ah, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to spending a bit of time with you talking about Jimi Hendrix. I've got a couple of questions, obviously, to ask. One of the great things about the 5150 and British Electric Blues shows, guys, is that a couple of the hosts that we have on here are very, very knowledgeable on certain fields. We have a general sort of knowledge when it comes to a lot of the music that we talk about, but I can tell you that Brad is an expert, and he won't say it, but I will, because I can. An expert on Jimi Hendrix and Led Zeppelin. So that sort of segues into a show that we're doing on Sunday with the Rock Professor. We're going to be doing Led Zeppelin 4. Can't wait for that. That's going to be a cracker. So I'm going to lead that. And but my intro will be about 2 sentences, and then I'm going to pass it on to Brad because.
Oh, come on.
Well, look. At the end of the day, we have to acknowledge where our strengths and weaknesses are. And seriously, some of our co-hosts are really teed up. And look, Brad, you've been studying these guys since you were a young fella, since you picked up the guitar. And then on Saturday, bro, we've got the 5150 show with the Rev and CJ Cheevers, who is responsible for that wonderful book called the Van Halen Encyclopedia. So that's going to be cool. Can't wait for that, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That encyclopedia is where we draw a lot of information from. Kurt, the Rev, he's pretty much, that's his Bible, isn't it? That's one of his Bibles. I think we've actually got footage of him holding his stack, and I think that's the main book that he's holding. So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. It'll be good. So he's going to hang out with us for a couple of hours. And if you guys are here in the chat that are regulars on that show, if you've got any questions that you think might be really cool and interesting, I can't guarantee that we'll get to them all. But if you think of any cool questions and that you want to fire at them, hold them, work on them, and give them to us on Saturday. And likewise, if there are any questions that you guys want to ask Brad and the Rock Professor about Led Zeppelin, have them for Sunday too, because the Rock Professor's seen Led Zeppelin as well. So he's got a bit of information there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. And I'm still very jealous that the Rock Professor's seen Led Zeppelin. The closest I ever got was seeing Page and Plant in 95 in Sydney. That was it. 95 or 96, I think it was. Yeah, on their unleaded, sort of on the back of the unleaded thing project they did together. So I saw him on that. That was but that was the closest I got to seeing Led Zeppelin.
When are we going to do Page and Plant? We spoke about doing that. That's an album that's on our list, isn't it?
It is, and the thing is, there's so many things we're trying to cover here. There's only so many shows we can do a week, bro. Led Zeppelin 4. As Simon says, he has a bombshell for Sunday, so we're looking forward to that. So I want to just acknowledge Simon Williams is, he's going to have a bombshell. So there you go. And Hoss is in the chat. How you going, Hoss? Good to see you. It was good chatting to you this afternoon. And, it seems like every time Hoss and I say we're going to have a 15-minute chat, an hour and a half later goes by, we're still going. Yeah. We could almost do like a chat like this, just what we talk about is pretty much what we talk about here almost. It's very funny.
Well, if you want me to set up a stream called the Hoss and Brad Show and stream it on here, that's no problem. I'll send you the link, bro.
We need Andrew, we need a moderator, otherwise we'll go for hours. So you'd have to be part of it. We need someone to pull us in, mate. We need someone to pull us in.
Oh, mate, it's funny. I look forward to seeing what the Rock Professor's got to say for himself on Sunday. That looks really interesting. So, and we've got a few other cool things planned, guys. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, on the bottom there, you'll see some Instagram accounts. Brad is really active on there. He'll keep you up to date with what he does and with what our channel is doing here. Brad's working with Hoss on a couple of things that that specifically apply to the 5150 show. So hopefully there'll be some groundbreaking bits and pieces coming through from that little project that they're cooking. So we wish you guys well in organizing that. But today, bro. Today we decided that we're going to do a special shout out because something happened in the weekend.
Yeah, it was the 51st anniversary of Mr. Hendrix's passing. So we thought, we did have a show planned for the Sunday, so we thought we'd just do a bro down this week just to acknowledge that. I mean, such an important part of, he's not a British electric blues guitar player, but his links to that So a lot of success in the UK and in London and everywhere he went in. And his band were from the he's an adopted UK guitarist. Let's just say that, and a massive influence. And how can we not really sort of acknowledge Jimi Hendrix on this show? We have to. And everyone loves Jimi Hendrix. If you play guitar and you say you don't love Jimi Hendrix, and I'm not going to say what I want to say, but we'll leave it at that. There's just, you have to at least respect what Jimi Hendrix brought to the electric guitar.
Yeah. Look, I've met a lot of cats over the years who have told me, and I always find it interesting because I love. And one of the great things that we love about this show, and why we're on this show, is because we like talking about, how did you find this guy? How did you find this music? How did you find this genre? How did Brad discover Jimi Hendrix? And he's going to tell us about that very, very soon. But I've always been interested on how people found Hendrix. And I've met a couple of guys, and they said that when they first heard him, they couldn't handle him. They couldn't handle, because it was just not something that they were used to, and I get it. I get that, because they were listening to the wrong songs. But Hendrix is a character. He's a musician, I think, bro, that you got to listen to in the context of, to fully appreciate him. Does that make sense over that short period of time?
Yeah.
How did you discover Hendrix? What turned you on to Hendrix in particular? And where do you situate that stream of music that he had, from the beginning to the end, and how does that reflect back to you as a guitar player and a musician? Take the floor, brother.
Well, I wasn't even playing guitar at the time I discovered Jimi Hendrix. I was just a young kid. Music was becoming a fairly big part of my DNA. I was starting to really connect with music and artists in particular. The Beatles being one of my biggest influences at that time, and acknowledging the songwriting melodies, this and that. And then one day,
what a place to start from.
Sorry,
what a place to start from.
Well, sometimes I think the be and end all is the Beatles, but obviously it's not. There's so much more to music than just the Beatles. But for Jimi Hendrix, I was at home. I know there was a VHS of Jimi Hendrix, and I was curious because I'd seen some stuff, and I put on this Live at Monterey on VHS cassette, and the minute I put that on, it just blew me backwards. It had nothing to do with burning a guitar. It had nothing to do with technical ability on the guitar. There was just an energy that was coming through him, and the way he was playing, the fuzz, the Strat, the Marshall, something just gave me the goosebumps, and it whatever it was just something really powerful in that performance. He was there. He was trying to prove who he was. He was fairly unknown at that point. People had seen him and knew what he was doing, but at Monterey, he just come out like a bolt of lightning. And really, there's so much excitement from the word go. Now, the track order on the VHS wasn't necessarily the VHS, wasn't the set list order, but the way that they set list ordered on the VHS, the way they came out, it was just like, oh my goodness, there was so much energy in the first song, and should have quit you a long time ago. He's doing this, and just unbelievable. And from that minute, I just knew I needed to play electric guitar. It was like instantly. It was like an instant thing. I was just like, that's what I've got to do. I've got to get an electric guitar. And if I could be half as cool as Jimi Hendrix, I'd be wrapped, Mate, I don't think anyone can ever be half as cool as Jimi Hendrix, because he was just next level for me. But more than just technical ability or anything like that, there was just something quite unique about, like, I'll put it this way. I believe he came to us like a messenger, and he was taken away from us once his message was, presented to us. you got to talk about, we go on about career paths of, say, even on the 5150 show, we talk about Ed Van Halen. And I don't want to draw comparisons because I don't like it when people do that about Ed or Jimmy. Jimmy was an innovator. He did something quite unique. There was passion, there was energy, there was sexual energy in his music. There was the way he portrayed himself as an artist. He was a bit of a shy guy, but as soon as he got the guitar in his hand, he on stage, he just came out of his shell. And for me, there's that Monterey changed. Well, it's why I'm playing guitar today. I'll say that. Maybe I would have discovered down the track a reason to pick up the guitar, but seeing that live at Monterey made me want to go buy a guitar. Like literally, just made me want to go and buy a guitar. So I'd be interested to find out, if anyone in the chat had similar sort of thing to do with Hendrix, whether Hendrix inspired them to, pick up a Fender Stratocaster, for example. And I'm interested to find out yourself, Andrew, like, how did you discover Hendrix?
I kind of went, well, it's a long story kind of thing. But I know that you and I and the Rock Professor, we did a ranking. We've done a couple of ranking of the tracks of Hendrix, and I think the last one we did, bro, was the Blues album that came out in 94, 95, which is a masterpiece. Just it's just, and that just cooked me again. But I want to shoot this past you because I don't think we spoke about it, and I'm pretty good at remembering a few things. But I want to shoot this past you. So when I was a young dude, and that was a long time ago, ladies and gentlemen, and this is a point of reference because this is before internet and before all the publications that we've got. Getting information on artists was a difficult process to get to. But I remember they were one of the state TV channels here, bro, was going to play Woodstock live on TV, and I think it was a Sunday night, and they were making a big deal about it because they were going to show it full, unedited Woodstock. And I would have been about 13 years old, so I knew the hippie shit scene that was going on, knew all that, was listening to rock and roll, was playing around with an acoustic guitar. And there were a couple of moments on there which bowled me over. But to keep it related to this channel and the topic that we're talking about, when he did that Star Spangled Banner, and we all knew the tune because everybody in the free world knows that tune. And when he did that tune, I remember sitting there going, it was like the time when I heard Eruption for it was like, and I remember going to school the next day going to a couple of guys that I knew, did you watch that movie? And they go, yeah. And I remember having a conversation, did you see that Star Spangled Banner? And they go, yeah. And I said, wow. And they said, oh, yeah, we've been listening to it for years. I'm going, oh, what? You can, that's somewhere? Yeah. And I remember, push biking around my city to some of the secondhand record stores to try. And I don't know, bro, I was trying to do some research today, but I didn't get much chance. But what album would that Star Spangled Banner have come out on in the early 80s? Do you know? Do you know what recording it would have been on? Maybe it was...
do you mean the live version from Woodstock?
Yeah, the live version from Woodstock.
Yeah, well, obviously that was that came out later, obviously after Hendrix passed away. The performance of it came out later, but obviously around that time of the band, he was in that transitional phase from, he got to a point where the experience he was tired of it, and he was trying to incorporate a larger band, which Gypsy Sun and Rainbow was what he called the band, but then he sort of shortened it, said we're nothing but a band of gypsies. And obviously when he transitioned to the band of gypsies, he lost a few of the players and kept Billy Cox. Now, Billy Cox came into the fold around that time when Noel Redding, there's a couple of things here, and I'm not going to say which was right or wrong, whether he left or he was fired, because I've heard some contradiction there, and I don't want to get into that here. I want to say he was fired if he left, but I think he was more pushed out from my understanding. And then Billy Cox came in, who was the bass player on that performance. But Billy and Hendrix had played together for many, many years through the Army, through the Chitlin circuit. Obviously, before Hendrix, Jimmy became Jimi Hendrix. He played for Little Richard. He played for Ike T. Turner. He played for a lot of people. So basically, he learnt his chops through that Chitlin circuit, and Billy Cox was part of that as well. So the minute he got Billy Cox on stage with him, there was almost like this instant chemistry thing where Billy Cox knew exactly what to play behind Hendrix. There was like, I don't think it was even really discussed that much. They might have sat and jammed. That's all that really happened. But to answer your question, because I think I've deviated a little bit, Woodstock would have been around that transitional point for Hendrix where the experience, Electric Ladyland was when Noel Redding, the bass player of the Experience, was not wanting to be part of the long sessions, and there was all that going on. So I know the first time I ever watched Woodstock, it was I had to watch it again because there's a lot going on in Woodstock, and you could look at it as being completely and utterly a mess, or you could look at it as brilliance. And I had to, at some point, let go of that three-piece thing because I kept seeing Hendrix as a three-piece. I don't know if you ever thought of Hendrix that way, Andrew. I always saw Hendrix as a trio, So for that whole thing of where he came on stage, he came on late. A lot of the crowd had already left, which is, not really. When they show footage of Hendrix at Woodstock, they show footage of all the hills filled and everything. Hendrix went out late because there was rain and all sorts of things. So he went out late. He played to a smaller crowd, and he closed the show. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning he started. It was crazy. So he was the whole era back then was different. It was that free love, hippie, experimental period so it would have been around, I think, August 69, I think, was Woodstock. So he died in 1970, and we sort of, without going into too much detail, he died in September 18, 1970. So it was getting close towards the end of that. And really, when you look at Hendrix's career as Jimi Hendrix, was really a 3-year span.
Yeah. And that's cool. I think that information that Brad has given is really cool. But I can't remember the record though that I bought, bro, that had that performance on it. I must have bought the Woodstock album then, because the Woodstock album came out as a three. Because I remember buying something that specifically for that Star Spangled Banner, but the
Woodstock version would have come out on the Woodstock album, so that in itself would have. I
can't remember.
I'm just trying to think.
Maybe someone in the chat will know what recording that came.
I'm pretty sure that. Well, it came out on Woodstock, the recording, but he did actually record Star Spangled Banner in the studio as well, and I'm just trying to get my bearings when that was recorded. But from my understanding, it would have been Cry of Love, I think. Cry of Love.
Maybe in that version.
Yeah, Cry of Love, and then it came out on a Greatest Hits album as well. So around Cry of Love, I think that tour, there was an album released, one in 1970 or 71. I can't remember what year it was. That came out, and it had Star Spangled Banner on that, I think. So I may be wrong there, but I didn't do my homework on that, Andrew. I'm sorry, mate. But the Woodstock,
That's okay.
the Woodstock one is definitely on the live performance of Woodstock. Yeah.
There's a couple of points that I want to probe you a little bit further on. I like the analogy that you said between being a complete F up or just something magical, that performance. I want you to go down a little bit further down that path with me soon. But getting back to discovering of Jimi Hendrix, I went backwards. So a good friend of mine gave me Band of Gypsies. And I remember listening to Band of Gypsies and Machine Gun, and I remember going, because I knew Jimi Hendrix from the radio, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, and all along the Watchtower, because they were being played on, so I didn't go and listen to his first, to his Jimi Hendrix Experience albums until I'd listened to, what do you call it, Band of Gypsies for about 6 months maybe. And I tell you what, that messed with me, bro, because it was just like, it's just so different, listening to that album and then going back to, Are You Experienced? What do you reckon? Is that just in my head, or was there some validation there?
I think Band of Gypsies was going a little bit back more to Hendrix's roots, that little bit more sort of that soul power sort of feel to the music. So there was a lot of earthiness to the music. There was a lot more, should I say, for lack of better words, there was a lot more. I don't want to say it the way I want to say it. I'm going to say it politically correct. There was a lot more traditional style music for him, in the sense where blues traditionally came from, and there was a lot of funk element there. Billy Cox and Buddy Miles were like so tight in that rhythm section department. It was just unbelievable. Mitch Mitchell has been quoted as saying, Buddy Miles on the drums was like a cement mixer, and he was straight on it. It was interesting to hear some of the Hendrix Experience songs redone with Buddy Miles on drums, because he put more straight beats to them, and they sounded different again. But you only got to listen to Band of Gypsies. Like, who knows the opening track? You could almost listen to the drums and bass being played on their own, because a lot of the time through that song, Hendrix is almost quiet or not playing, and then he plays over the top of them, and they're so big. There's so much body there. There's a lot of heaviness in their music for sure, and I don't mean heaviness like heavy metal or hard rock. It was deep. There was a lot of depth to the music, and so Band of Gypsies record is still that era, that era 1969, 1970 is a really favourite era of mine for Hendrix, because I think he needed that in his career path, and I think he was trying to step away from Foxy Lady, Purple Haze, Hey Joe, Wind Cries Mary. He wanted to develop, and I know he was wanting to work with artists like Miles Davis and do explore that era, that style of music as well within his music. He wanted to incorporate that. Yeah.
Hey, Susan, we've got a couple of cats in the chat and some girls that we haven't seen for a while. Susan, I think we haven't seen you live on a show for a long time, Susan. Thank you for joining us. We've got Sonia here, bro. We've got Quinton James in the chat. John ZD351's been throwing up some good stats for us, and I think we missed someone else. Well, we were gas bagging, bro. We gas bagged. I think I've caught up. Oh, Crappy Luxury has been popping in, and also Helen. Thank you, Helen. Brad and I on the bro down. So when you say the bro down, really appreciate you guys joining us. Bro, Band of Gypsies is one of my favorite Hendrix recordings, and again, I can't wait for you and I and the Rock Professor to do the ranking of the tracks on that, mate.
Oh
Just
yeah.
oh
Mm.
oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. That particular recording, that one absolutely blew me away. I don't know if you've seen like a documentary that's been done by the Hendrix family on the Band of Gypsies record, and there's some wonderful interviews there with Slash, Lenny Kravitz. There's a bunch of people in there that are talking about that particular record. And the one thing that seems to be the recurring theme with all their discussion points is the amount of earthiness and funk to the style of music they were playing. And Hendrix was writing some really, he was exploring a little bit more on that record in particular. And I felt like with the experience, Hendrix was more follow me, boys. And he was leading everyone through the songs. And I kind of felt like he took I'm sitting back here and I'm going to just sit on top of these guys with Band of Gypsies, which was a different thing to hear him play that way. Did you pick that up, Andrew? Or do you pick that up?
Yeah, and there was something else too which I find interesting, and I went back over the last couple of days since Monday and just listened to a couple of songs from each album because I haven't had too much time.
Yep.
But Jimmy's voice on Band of Gypsies, like he'd reached this level. It's so much better. His voice. It's got this resonance. It seemed to me it sounds like he's singing without being able to force himself to sing. Like on some of those early albums, there's some effort put into the vocals. Now I'm not saying they're bad because other people have said, "Oh, how many times have we met people over the years, bro? Oh, I like the guitar playing, but his vocals suck." And when people say that, it's okay, bye, see you later, move on to the next person. That's
Yeah.
just me though.
There's sometimes there's no point trying to reason with people if they're not hearing it or picking it up.
Bye.
Then there's no point even arguing with them about it, if that makes sense.
Well, that's what the rock professor said to you and I, didn't he? He said, when he jumped on, he said, if you guys aren't playing the game, you guys are out of here. So, it's,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, there's something quite unique. I actually really enjoy Jimmy's singing, especially on songs like Drifting, and which is on the Cry of Love, apparently. I think that was on. But obviously, after his time has gone on, a lot of albums have come out again from the Hendrix family, remastering all these songs and making wonderful versions of them and making them, easy listening, for example, for us to palate them. But Drifting, for example, he sings so beautifully on that. I love his singing on songs like Freedom, Angel, In From the Storm. There's just some great singing on that stuff. But on that Band of Gypsies, I mean, he's singing fairly, should I say, relaxed.
Yes.
That might be his mood. That all I'm trying to relay in a roundabout way without sort of going around in circles is I think he was a lot more relaxed in Band of Gypsies. The experience kind of felt like he was holding them together, like Stick With Me and, these two white fellas from the UK sort of holding it together, trying to keep up with Hendrix, where the Billy Cox and Buddy Miles were just, it's all right, man, we got your back. And they just kind of laid it down for him.
Different scene. It was a different scene. That Hendrix experience was a different scene, different management structure, different vibe going on, bro. With with the Band of Gypsies, you had the beginning of funk, that kind. So I think you've hit the nail on the head. This low beat kind of, and I haven't forgotten your comment about jazz and going down that because if you guys do any kind of reading or any kind of YouTubing, Jimmy talks about it. Jimmy talks about how he was in awe of these jazz guys, and makes it very clear too. He said, I was a black guy growing up listening to black and white music, and you had to hear you couldn't escape listening to these jazz guys, these jazz greats. They were always in the back of his his mind. So
Yeah.
why wouldn't he want to collaborate with them? What a shame, bro. What a
Yeah.
shame.
He was turned on by all that music, and if if anyone wants to investigate it, you can go down and there's an album that was released, might have been late '90s or early 2000s, called South Saturn Delta.
Go and
And
check it out.
go and check it out. There's a song on there with that's what I reckon he would have been sort of going down a lot of that path. But in particular, there's some really good box sets around and stuff like that. And I know sometimes I feel like, without sounding harsh, that the family might be doing a bit of a money grab here and there. But it's great to have this stuff. There's a lot of stuff floating around, bootlegs and whatnot as well. So, and the internet's a great thing where back when I was into Hendrix, there was no such thing of looking stuff up on the internet and listening to it. You just had to go by trying to find a bootleg of it or something. It was, so sometimes it's nice to have, like, we love the band of Gypsies, for example, and then the family put out Live at the Fillmore East,
Yep.
in 1999, I think it was, and it had them playing like songs like Stone Free, Power of Soul, Hear My Train Come, and there was, Stepping Stone, Stop, Earth Blues, Burning Desire, all these songs that weren't on the band of Gypsies recording, and they were from the first show, second show. So I have to say, though, what's your favourite song off Band of Gypsies?
Oh,
it's a hard one.
Oh, I won't swear. I want to do a shout out to Fruitcake Tony, bro. He's just jumped in. He's saying g'day to us. While I jump on my iPad and have a look at the songs and try and answer your question, what do you think about Johnny traveling down the road of maybe being a world music? You know how we've got world music and as a category. Do you think Johnny would have been? Sorry,
Jimmy.
all these. Jimmy, do you think Jimmy would have been maybe going down a little bit down that road too? Do you think maybe or not? Or do you think he would have just stayed grooving?
Who knows? I mean, Hendrix had a tendency to he wanted to explore. You can hear a lot of that earthiness, funkiness in Band of Gypsies, and even when he got Mitch back in the fold, they were doing songs like In From the Storm and all these wonderful songs. But I do think he would have liked to have experimented with other artists, not necessarily under the Jimi Hendrix banner. We know he wanted to collaborate with Miles Davis. Without a doubt, he was going to experiment. He wasn't going to stick with playing Foxy Lady for the rest of his life.
Machine Gun.
Yeah. Man, that's mine too. And, I've got to sort of highlight in that documentary that is on the Band of Gypsies, Lenny Kravitz, he says after he listens to Machine Gun, he's got to take a nap. And it's so heavy. It's there's a lot going on. There's a lot of energy in that song. There's a lot of the wonderful thing about that particular version on that Band of Gypsies CD, that album in particular, is every single little thing that they're trying to portray about the Vietnam War and everything was in that song. You could feel the pain, the suffering, the hurt, the anxiety, everything that you could imagine if you were fighting in Vietnam. They put it into a song. There was so much in there. And, man, there's so much depth to that song. That's why it's so heavy. It's unbelievable.
We're going to do this album before Christmas. We're going to rank this. Simon, Are you still in the chat? Are you on board with us if we rank Band of Gypsies before Christmas? No pressure.
I'm sure he will.
No. No.
Yeah. Look, Band of Gypsies was a wonderful period. I mean, but I'm a Hendrix dude. I love anything Hendrix played. I have to say it's more about. I personally think Hendrix is one of the greatest rhythm players, that's ever walked. He had so much delicate sort of tone and touch to his playing. He, in particular, songs like "Castles Made of Sand" and "Axis Boulder's Love," "Little Wing." Those sort of songs are they're like a gift to us from Hendrix, of like people like myself that's been playing for years. I still can't play them right, even though I've been playing them my whole career as a guitar player. Does that make sense? I've got the ability to play it, but I can't play it right.
You're not hearing it. So, but I bet you, if I was watching you play it, I'd be bowled away. I'm glad you picked Little Wing because I'm looking on my notes here, because Little Wing for me it has to be one of, it's up there for me with favorite songs. And I'll tell you why, bro. I'll tell you why, and I want to hear what you think. I love Jimmy's version. I love Derek and the Dominoes version, and I love Stevie Ray's version, Stevie
Yeah.
Ray Vaughan's version. So, one good illustration of a song that's so freaking cool. Any one of those versions are so freaking cool, but they're so different, bro.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, by bringing that up in particular, the the wonderful thing about Hendrix is he influenced so many people and touched so many people, including people he was inspired by, like say Clapton, for example. But when you think about Hendrix, I was talking to say Philip Sayce about this. There's a Hendrix family tree, and I didn't really think of it this way till he brought it up. But the thing that is remarkable is, let's say, for example, Stevie was part of that offspring from Hendrix, even though Stevie had his own identity, played his own way. Hendrix played differently to Stevie Ray. I don't like it when people say, "Oh, Stevie Ray is like Hendrix." That doesn't cut it for me. I don't like that comment because Stevie had his own thing. Stevie played Hendrix music respectfully, but didn't play like Hendrix, in my opinion. Because, excuse me, Stevie was a blues guy. And Hendrix was a little bit more than that. Stevie was a purist to the extent of blues. He loved Hendrix, though, so he played Hendrix music, but Texas blues way. Does that make sense? But what I'm saying is that so many offsprings from Hendrix, and he influenced so many people, even to modern day greats. We talk about Stevie Ray, Clapton. We've done guys like Jeff Beck were influenced by Hendrix, Richie Blackmore, Jimmy Page. They all took influence from Hendrix. And then you got guys like Philip Sayce. It's there, it's present, and that's the beautiful thing about Hendrix. Was given to us, in my opinion, as a messenger to expand our minds, expand. He was an innovator on guitar. Think about it. We talk about other guitar players that have had decades to be considered the greatest guitarist alive. Hendrix had 3 years of success, and we're still to this day in love with Hendrix from 3 years.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to prove that the guy, and his associated acts, bro, were geniuses. When I heard those versions of Little Wing, the familiarity of the tunes, something that picks you up, and and you go, ah, and then you listen to it, and it's like, yeah. I just, yeah. I think you're right. I think you've hit the nail on the head there. He's in that 3.5, 4 year period, and I think we discussed this, didn't we, on the blues album? I think you and the Rock Professor brought it up too. And he was working, man. This guy was working. He wasn't. Yeah,
He turned every electric guitar player at the time on their. He turned their heads. He spun them around, and they were all going, "What the hell?" Like no one had really experienced anything what Jimmy did, and I guess the perfect band name for him was the Jimi Hendrix Experience, because seeing Hendrix would have been like an experience in itself. It wouldn't have been just seeing a guitarist singer playing songs. It would have been like a whole, because every time he played those songs, he played them differently. So he was one of those artists that relied on a lot of something was channeling through him, and he was just sending that message out. Every performance of his is different. I've heard that many live performances of Hendrix, and every time he plays, even like if you're going to talk about the classics, Foxy Lady, Purple Haze, even down to the Machine Gun versions that we talked about, they're all different.
Yeah,
Play them differently every time.
I think that point that you raised earlier about the Chitlin circuit is really, really interesting, because that was highlighted to me a few years ago, bro, when I was having a chat to Carl, who's joined us on a couple of shows, and Carl knows all that Chicago blues stuff, man. This guy's like a walking encyclopedia, and he brought that up. He made me aware of it too. At that point, he said, "You got to remember, these guys were playing long sets, man. These guys were playing 6-hour sets." 6 days, 7 days, and they had to be right on the money, because most of the band leaders, they were pretty competitive, and because you've read a lot of biographies, and and that's a point, they put a lot of pressure on themselves. So all that hard work that he did, on that circuit, becoming proficient with his guitar. I've got a couple of other questions that I want to. So what did you think? And I know that we've spoken about this on previous shows, but for anyone else watching this show specifically, what did you think of the Andre? Who was the dude that acted as Jimi Hendrix? That movie that came out a few years ago on his the biography on Jimi Hendrix's life, the one that they couldn't play the Hendrix music.
Oh, okay. To be honest with you, Andrew, I haven't watched it. Yeah.
Oh,
I never watched it. Is it worth watching,
bro? Yeah, I think you got to watch it. Yeah. I think I'm going to tell you why you have to watch it, because we're going to talk about we're going to be ranking Band of Gypsies. So this will come up. I think you got to watch it, and I think it's worthwhile. I've watched a lot of documentaries, and you and I, and you were spoken about music. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. I think the guy acting as Jimi Hendrix. If someone in the chat will be able to tell us, he used to be a rapper, Andre
3000.
Andre 3000.
D351. John said, yeah.
Yeah, Andre, yeah. What do you got? Okay, help Brad answer that question. I'm saying it's mandatory for him to watch. In fact, he's going to finish the show soon. He's going to go and make a cup of tea, and he's going to go and download this on iTunes, and he's going to watch it. What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I'll have to give it a watch. I have been asked to watch that a couple of times, and I've been told, sorry, to watch it a couple of times, but I've always just sort of never really got round to it, I guess. I knew they weren't able to play any of his songs in it, so maybe that's one of the reasons why. But if it's got a good plot, then it's worth watching, yeah.
Well, there's two other ones. There's another one which isn't very good. Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's okay. There's another one that came out a little bit earlier, but what's the word? Sensationalizes some of the aspects of Jimmy that we all know as fans.
Yep.
Wasn't a big deal,
Yep. Yeah. Well, I think I might have seen that many years ago, to be honest with you, but I never really enjoyed that very early one. But maybe that's put me off watching. I'm a bit funny with music docos, as you know. Like they've got to be they've got to be pretty representative. The only one the only music documentary that's been made into a movie that I thoroughly enjoyed, even though it was glorified, was the Doors one with Val
We've
Kilmer.
spoken about that. We love that one.
Yeah,
Maybe that's where I got confused.
yeah.
You
So
see, I am showing my age.
if like for example if say the Hendrix one was on that level, I'd be really happy to watch it. Yeah, but I mean I know most of Hendrix's stories from reading books and reading that much stuff on Jimmy that I'm sure that I would pick out the glorified bits that made a good movie. It's like the Freddie Mercury movie that came out. A lot of that was glorified to make a good movie out of it that weren't accurate, so to speak.
No, Andre did a good job. He pulls it off really well. He looks great.
Yeah.
He even learnt to play the guitar, to make the performance, because there's nothing worse when a guy's playing or someone's playing a chord and it should be up here when they're playing it down there.
Yeah.
And the rhythm's off. Instead of going like they're going.
Is that the same movie? Just out of interest, is that the same movie that Lenny Kravitz was in the contending for playing Hendrix?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I better check it out. But yeah. Look, well, I've got a question for you anyway. What I'll name the albums. Okay, so the Hendrix's main sort of discography would have been Are You Experience, Axis Boulder's Love, Electric Ladyland, and then Band of Gypsies we've touched on. So out of those recordings, which would be your favorite album to listen to from start to finish? Band of Gypsies?
No, now start to finish, I'm going to go with Axis.
Yeah, that's mine, and it's just one of those albums that I think Hendrix really was honed in on his craft at that point. He did Are You Experienced, and then that was like a new thing for him to record an album. And then the next album, he really he ticked all the boxes. They somehow managed with Eddie Kramer to get amazing guitar tones. Not that the first album isn't like that either, but they just, the first album's great, but Axis Boulder's Love really captured something quite magical. And then Electric Ladyland was more experimental, and that was when he was bringing in other musos, and that's where Buddy Miles comes into it. He played on one track, and he's brought in Steve Winwood and all sorts of players on that particular. It was a bit more of an experimental thing that Noel Redding wasn't quite happy with. But for me, when I listen to Axis Boulder's Love, I find that album in particular, there's something about that album. I can't really describe what it is, because every time I listen to it, I hear something a little bit different in it. But everything's so clear. The mixes are fantastic. It's got one of my all-time favorite Hendrix songs on it as well, which probably helps. But it's interesting. There's a lot of magic in that particular album for me. I'd love to be able to point out exactly why. I love Spanish Castle Magic. I love, Axis Boulder's Love, though. There's something about that, the rhythm playing. I've heard Steve Vai doing a version of that on a Hendrix tribute album, and Steve Vai was playing, I think, a Strat. I think he might have been playing one of Hendrix's old Strats for it, and it's quite amazing that he got it so close. But the feel that Hendrix had playing not over the conventional, when he's playing light, he's delicate, he's up on the Nick 70 explains this beautifully, playing over the neck even a little bit to get the delicate sort of things, and then when you come back, you're sort of biting in. And then Hendrix was more about playing rhythmically, what do you call it, about feel, picking up the dynamic of the song. And I think Hendrix was so unique about that. I could talk about this for hours, Andrew. Cut me off.
I think one of the good things about that Woodstock film anyway is that it picks up what Brad's explaining pretty well and we only had that footage for a long time. But some of the other stuff that's coming through now that Brad's mentioning, that the family or the foundation's releasing, is great. And I'm not going to be critical of that. If there's if there is any cash grabbing going on, that's okay, that's fine, because you know why? Because they're releasing some good stuff. You know what I mean? So I think what they're doing, I'm not going to call it a cash grab. I think what they're doing, and we got to be mindful of this. And I think it's one of the reasons that I picked up when we were talking about this album, bro, is that we got to give the foundations or the families or whatever some respect, because they're trying to pick up on a new market. They're trying to pick up 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds, bro, that might be interested in this stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I do. Look, and really, I would rather that someone be controlling it than not as well, if that makes sense. But I just wish they would do it. I mean, and it's like that in particular, that George Harrison album, the way they've done it, it's better to do it some justice than none at all. And if a family's involved, at least, look, isn't it better, I guess, from a perspective, from my point of view, is, yes, I do feel like they're cash grabbing at times. They're not giving a pure version of what Hendrix probably would have wanted, but they're trying to make it presentable for the everyday person, not necessarily the fan. But I would love for, say, the Hendrix family and, say, George Harrison and Van Halen and stuff like that moving forward, I would love to hear the fan experience. Give them what the fans want, which is there's versions that have been polished up, and I won't go into it too much, that have been presented by the Hendrix family, that are over polished, and 2-3 versions amalgamated into one to make a good song, and it's apparently unreleased, but it's been on bootlegs for years differently. So what I'm saying is, give us those versions in the background, but give the good presentation stuff to the non-Hendrix fan, if that makes sense. That's what I would love.
Sure does. We've got Johnny Hotbreaker joining us in the chat. Hey, Johnny. There's a cool comment there by Nelson. John Mayer playing Axis Bold as Love. Absolutely. I got to give that cat credit for that. And also Kenny Wayne Shepherd does some great versions. Voodoo Child does some great versions of Jimi Hendrix. And that in itself, bro, feeds into what we were just talking about with record companies tapping into young people for the market. You got to remember what these guys were doing in the 90s, late 90s for Jimi Hendrix too. Kenny Wayne Shepherd bringing that in, Philip Sace, bringing these guys in, John Mayer.
Look, John Mayer is as part of the family tree as well, the way I see it. He people that are so influenced by Hendrix, it comes through in their playing without a doubt. There's so many people that I can think of. John just put Phil Parra. Yeah, Phil Parra's a good friend of mine. I'm here in Melbourne, and a New Zealander, but he's an Aussie. I've played gigs with him. I've jammed with Phil Parra. He's amazing. He is truly channeling that. He's Phil Parra. He's not Jimi Hendrix. He does his reinterpretations of Hendrix in his way. But
he's throwing Hendrix on the fry pan, bro. He's burning it on the fry pan, Phil Parra.
There's so many guys out there that do it. This is what I was talking to Philip Sace about, and he brought it up, the family tree thing, which is something that I think is, I've thought about, and I've thought about a lot over the last few days. Is there are dudes out there that are capturing that same vibe and energy, and they're incorporating it in their own music. Eric Gales is one. The guys that are around now that are just, But look, in all fairness, Hendrix was a game changer. I seem to, for some reason lately, have had to argue this point, which I don't think I need to. I think he was a game changer. There's been a lot of amazing guitar players before him, after him, but Hendrix really turned things, it turned things on their back. He was doing more than just playing guitar. Let's just say that. He was putting something else in there. There was an energy. He was using effects. He was doing things differently. His gigs in the early days, I think it was 66 and that, and coming into 1967, he had, Keith Richards, Eric Clapton, Pete Townsend, all these dudes just lining up going, what do we do now? They were shocked. They were shell-shocked. He set the cat amongst the pigeons. So what I'm saying is Hendrix was an innovator. He took things and took them to the next step. And then from that spawned some amazing guitar players as well. And existing guitar players changed their dynamic and feel and playing to become themselves, So thank you, Jimi Hendrix. That's all I have to say.
Awesome.
Without
So
Jimmy,
just hold on, bro. I'm gonna see if I can do something. I'm gonna see, because I've been so bad. I've been under the pump. If I can show this video that Brad sent to me, we'll show it on Sunday. Hold on, bro. Hold on. Don't tell anybody what I'm going to show them. I'm going to see if I can do it. Hold on. Can you talk for a couple of minutes while I just try and do it?
I can. I've got something I want to bring up, so I'll bring it up. I encourage everyone to. One of the other performances I absolutely adored was always Rainbow Bridge. I loved watching that setting in Hawaii with the background, the clouds and everything, and that. But I love how this end of last year, might have been November-ish, around 2020, the Hendrix family released Live in Maui, which is a lot of that, and they found extra footage, and it's beautifully done. I think that's a mandatory for anyone to watch if you haven't. It's a shame they had to do quite a bit of work to it because there was so much wind and everything in the recording. So I think they even might have just quietly fixed the drumming a bit. But what I'm saying is that's a mandatory watch. If anyone hasn't seen that, I encourage everyone to go watch it. I absolutely adore Hey Baby, New Rising Sun. There's just something about that song.
Yep.
And I love the way they do that. That's on that the effects he's using, the univibes, the way he's using all that stuff is just sensational. So go and check that out. And that was recorded, July 30, 1970. So July, August, September. So, a couple of months before he passed away. So you can see where he was at. He had Billy Cox on bass. Mitch Mitchell was back again on the drums. And interestingly, after Hendrix had played with Buddy Miles on drums, Mitch brought a little bit more funk to his playing. So I think watching Mitch on drums after Buddy Miles was with Hendrix, he incorporated some of Buddy's, he was influenced by the guy, he saw him in Electric Ladyland's studio recording with Hendrix. So it rubbed off on Mitch a fair bit, but I don't know if anyone in the chat has seen that, but that's awesome. I'm just having a look at something else here, guys. I'm just going to have a look in the chat while Andrews seems to have popped up in a couple of places here. So Derek Clacton's put, Eric said the game was, Yep, I agree. I would love to hear more stuff. I'm sure there's little sound clippets floating around of Hendrix jamming. I would have loved to have heard Jimmy playing with Cream. That would have been amazing. Johnny Heartbreaker, I have no doubt Hendrix coming out of nowhere, smash a scene. Yeah. Simon Williams, we're all jealous of Simon Williams. He's had quite an amazing sort of run to be able to see some of these bands. That would have been amazing. But I'm just having a look at the chat, and people in the chat, honestly, your comments here are amazing. I'm just going back through and having a look. Nelson, I have to agree. John Mayer did an amazing version of Axis Boulder's Love. His own way, he did it. It's like the Stevie Ray thing of doing Little Wing. He put his little spin on it, which was amazing. But for me, that's a really important one to watch too, live in Maui. I really think the setting's fantastic, and watching all the people, they're very into their free love and hippie. They're all experienced, and they look like they're right into it. They're having fun, which is And Jimmy was a showman, and he brought the showmanship at the start. But I think Jimmy, in interviews, and I think he's on the Dick Cavett show, he talks about it. At some point he just wants to play. He wanted to just ditch the playing behind the head and with his teeth and all that, and just play. And I think Band of Gypsies, going back to the Band of Gypsies, gave him that opportunity to do that. Even though some of the footage I've seen of him, he's playing Foxy and he's playing some of these other things where he's playing, pulsating with the guitar between his legs and doing all that stuff in Foxy Lady. But for the most part, he's almost standing still, just playing. And I think, it stems back to Live at Monterey for me, watching how exciting that was. There was an energy. He was like, here I am, guys. I'm here. You guys are going to know about me from this point forward. Here I am. He gave the game. He came out and wiped the floor on Monterey. And I think from that point, all things aside, guitar smashing, Zippo fluid, lighting it on fire, all that, if you even removed that from the performance, it still would have been amazing. There was just something about that performance. His version of Killing Floor on that is just jaw-dropping.
It's perfect. It's probably one of the defining versions, in my opinion. I think it's a go-to.
Like a Rolling Stone. I get goosebumps the way he sings and plays that, and the little bit where he's like, no, Mr. Versa, don't worry, it's all right. He just had something quite magical, and to hear those fuzz tones with the volume rolled back on the guitar, they're just some of those tones. I think he pretty much left the fuzz on the whole gig and just rolled his volume on his guitar. That's pretty much most of the tone he's got, and his version of Wind Cries Mary on that is just fantastic. But he showed a lot of, for lack of better ways, intelligence off stage when he was in interviews and stuff, and on stage he showed he was a young guy too. Let's put that on the equation. He was a very young guy, and he was so far ahead of his time. Really, when you think about it, he was miles ahead of his time. So I do honestly believe that, I do honestly believe that he was given to us as a gift and a message, to what's capable of being done. And people have stretched what he's done by now, obviously, and obviously that's just natural progression. Technology gets better. People get more pedantic about playing. People get more technical, but the spirit that was behind Hendrix's music, I don't think has really ever been captured again. So anyone in the chat here, I just want to highlight something. Has anyone heard the bootleg versions of Hendrix on stage? I think Johnny Winter's playing bass and Jim Morrison gets up and he performs with them. I'm just wondering if anyone's heard any of those recordings. And I'm just going to look at some of these comments in the chat while Andrew's still doing something here. So
no, it's not going to work, bro. I'm going to have to show that video.
We'll do another.
It's not going to work. I think that Monterey gig is legendary, and it's gone down in rock and roll history, isn't it? He certainly gave thought to what he was going to do. You know, being a showman's really, really important, and especially for rock and rollers. You know, when they were doing the Chitlin circuit, it was really important that there was a visual aspect to it. Nothing much has changed. Now you've got videos and pyrotechnics and, you know, big screens behind you when people start touring again. But you know, when you actually see what he did, bro, on stage, it's nowhere near compared to what they do now for a production. But you know, just one of those great rock and roll stories. You know, come after me, come after me now, and see what you can do.
Well, I love the story behind it. Like, you know,
yeah. Tell the story.
well, the whole thing was they were in. It was, I think, "Hey Joe" was a single for them at the time, and it was their first real hit at having a go at the US. They had success in the UK, in Europe, but they never really had success in the US at this point. So they went there, and I think Paul McCartney got them on board for Monterey, I think it was, and Brian Jones wanted to introduce them on stage. He was, you know, he obviously Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones. We know who he is on this channel. We do. If you don't, well, you don't watch enough of our channels, our shows. So I believe what the story was, Pete Townsend didn't want to follow Hendrix. So there was a debate who was going to go on last, and I think what happened was Hendrix went on before the Who. He goes, "If I'm going on before you guys, I'm going to pull all the stops," and that was my understanding of what actually happened. Have you heard that story, Andrew?
Yeah, and I think you're pretty well correct with what. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, and they went out, and obviously burning the guitar with the Zippo fluid and all that was part of, you know, his act for that performance, was to pretty much go, right, I'm going to set the scene here, and no one's going to be able to follow this. You know, that was pretty much what he was sort of trying to achieve. And I think it's a legendary performance. I mean, you only got to look up, Google Jimi Hendrix Monterey, and the first image you see is Jimmy burning that guitar. And then he smashes it, and he proceeds to do sexual things to his guitar amp with the guitar, and then he smashes it. So, yeah, there you go. And the wonderful thing about it was he spent a lot of time hand painting that guitar before he crucified it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. The flowers on it and everything, he hand painted that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh.
You know, he hand painted it. He wanted to sacrifice it on stage, so he presented it the best way he could by painting it. So, but that, I mean, that was the era back then. It was like, you know, that to me was that to me was like, they released A Experience, the UK had success, come to America. First thing they did was Monterey Pop Festival, and boom, that solidified Hendrix in the US without a doubt.
Well, back then Fender guitars were pretty cheap too, bro, eh?
Well, even if they weren't, that was his intent, was to go, well, I'm here, guys. I don't know if anyone's ever picked up on this, but you watch the footage of Monterey, live at Monterey, and you see everyone in the crowd when he's doing that, and they show the crowd footage, and they are tranced. They're in a trance. They're not even just comprehending what's going on. They don't really understand what's going on. It's like, what is going on here? You know, like he's smashing a guitar. When he's burning, like this. There's some wonderful footage of people in the crowd, though. There's, you know, you see, Janis Joplin at one point in the crowd, just chilling back with a sort of cheeky, sort of, you know, doing this sort of thing, you know, watching him. And there was, it's a wonderful, wonderful performance. So if anyone wants to understand why I'm playing guitar, go and watch Live at Monterey.
Awesome. Guys, come back and see us on Saturday and Sunday. I promise when we've got the Rock Professor on, I'm going to show a video I have to change the format because it won't play on MP4. It's got to be, yeah, all these different formats for videos. It's bloody frustrating, isn't it? So, um, all the more reason for you guys to come back and see us on Sunday. But bro,
Hang on. Well, Sunday we'll leave it all about Zeppelin. I think we should leave
okay,
all
all
about
right,
Zeppelin because there's going to be a long show, Andrew. That's going to be a long
okay.
one.
Okay. You guys tune in. We'll do a bro down next next week. We'll do a bro down, and I promise we'll show the video. I promise we'll show the video. So we'll pick a subject, unscripted subject, and we'll hang out with you guys. But I'm just going to quickly say it's been fascinating listening and talking to you about Jimi Hendrix because your understanding more so your understanding of him as a musician and a guitar player translates to us and to the people in the chat, I think, in a really different way, as opposed to, and I'm not going to knock anybody that jumps on YouTube and has a show. There's a lot of guys that jump on YouTube, and I watch their shows, and they talk about records, bro, and it's great. These guys, they talk about, they rank their records and stuff like that. And people in the chat say, "Oh, can you play any of that stuff?" And they say, "No, I don't play. I just listen to it." But but the point of difference that we like to provide on our show, and Brad encapsulates that, is being able to translate that to a guitar player from a guitar playing perspective. I can hear it, I can feel it, and I hope that you guys in the chat can feel it too, because it's I think one of the great things that Brad offers our channel. Thank you, bro.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. A bit of a shout out to a few people here that I overlooked your comments, and I want to thank you. So we've got, I think we've already sort of gone through. There was Adam Crofts. Thank you, brother, for that lovely comment. I didn't see that pop up at the time.
I highlighted it.
Yeah, I was too deep in train of thought. And if anyone knows me well, I'm not good at multitasking. Maybe I am. I don't know. I think I'm only good at doing one thing at a time. So there's a few other people here that I overlooked in the initial presentation with introducing everyone. Harwood Steaks, thank you so much. So we've got also, who else? Johnny Heartbreaker. We've got, Johnny. We did mention you before, but thank you. I've got someone. Hang on, let me just burn that. Very unprofessional of me to have my phone next to me. Someone trying to ring me. Simon Williams, thank you, brother, for joining us. And I'm reading some of your comments right this second, so I appreciate your comments. And we are looking forward to Sunday's show. John's a wealth of knowledge and a great supporter of the channel. He follows us on Instagram as well. So thank you so much, John. We truly appreciate everyone here in the chat. So I'm just going through Derek Clapton. We know you're Eric Clapton, mate. We know it. We know you're Eric Clapton. That's a little joke that Andrew have got. Every time we see a comment from Derek Clapton, we know it's Eric Clapton. Yeah. So thank you for your wonderful insights. We're just two dudes here that are Hendrix fans talking, and we appreciate you guys joining us. Crappy Luxury, Nelson. Did I mention Nelson before? Thank you, Nelson. If I missed, I'm just going backwards with the chat. So Susan, thank you, Susan. Thank you for joining us and your little comments there. I'm just going back through them. Look, Arvin, thank you, Arvin. Have I missed anyone, bro? I'm sort of going backwards with my chat. I'm Adam. Adam's a wonderful guy. If you don't follow Adam on socials, make sure you go and follow him and have a look at his brand new Telecaster, which we're all a bit jealous about, I must admit. We've got a bit of gear envy on this side of the world. And Fruitcake Tony, thank you. Thank you, Fruitcake. Having a look through. I think I've got everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us. And if you are watching this back and you haven't subscribed to us, please do. We've got some giveaways coming up. We're going to have a bit of a chat offline about how we're going to do this. And I think, we may be doing them similar to how we've done them in the past, Andrew, maybe.
Yeah, we've got we like I say, guys, we've got some surprises coming up. Brad and I are cooking up a few things with the Rock Professor and Kurt. So there's a pedal giveaway that we're going to be doing.
Yep.
Brad and I are going to be recipients of some 5150 guitar picks that we're going to get. So we're going to hold some little location, some competitions for our location, for our geographical location. So we'll be pushing for some subs from New Zealand and some subs from Aussie for you guys to get some picks. We've got another big show planned. We've got a big show planned, and if all goes well, that big show will be a T-shirt live draw during that show as well. And Brad is cooking up something with Hoss as well. So we know Brad's working on that. So that's going to be awesome. So we've got some good content coming up, bro.
Yeah, shouts out to Hoss, who was here earlier. Thank you, brother. And always appreciate the little chats we have offline as well. And I'm contributing a giveaway to the channel as well, Andrew. I'm going to give away, which I'll quickly show one of these. You're a lucky person. So,
look at that.
So I just got some. What do you call it?
Awesome, brother. Awesome.
Things come through, so that's taken a long time to get that sorted, but finally they've just hit my desk. So looking forward to that. And everyone here, thank you so much. We just love Jimi Hendrix. He's not a British Electric Blues dude, but he's tied into it, so we're going to call him British Electric Blues. And very cool.
Did you want to play anything?
Some guitar.
Yeah.
I can fire up my amp if you want me to. Yeah.
Well, I think what we should do, because there's a couple of cats asking, is Brad going to pull finger and play some? When they say pull finger, I think it was. We got to be very careful. Hold on.
I'm getting demanded. All right. Well, Andrew, you give me 2 seconds. I'm very unprepared. I'll have to just turn it all on.
Okay, go and turn it on, and you can play for a couple of minutes and play us out. You can play us out, bro.
Have a chat to a few people in the chat, mate. Give us 2 seconds.
No problem. Yeah, you do that. I'll drop you out if you want.
I'll just what I'll do is I'll do this.
Okay, good. Good on you, bro. Sonia, thank you very much, Sonia, for promoting our show, especially. You guys are awesome. Helen, thank you very much. It's really, really awesome. We really need you guys to help push us. We're on about 709 subscribers. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, our channel, we get a lot more opportunity with the channel to present the channel and promote the channel. It just makes things a little bit easier. We can get other people involved with cross media stuff. So, getting 1,000 subscribers, as I said on one of the videos that we put up on the channel a couple of days ago, when we reached 700, millimeter by millimeter, inch by inch. But it's your guys' help. We appreciate it. If you hit the thumbs up and take a cut and paste of our channel and go and put it on some of your friends' links and say, go and support this Australian and this Kiwi and this Englishman and this American, we'd be grateful. We'd be really, really grateful. And like I said, we've got some good content coming up. We've got some good records. The Beatles are going to be coming out with the Peter Jackson film. So we're looking forward to talking about that. The Rolling Stones are coming out with Tattoo You anniversary release. We're going to do Band of Gypsies, Led Zeppelin coming up, Jeepers, Yeah, some great shows. Channel is growing. Absolutely, Johnny. Thank you. Thank you, Johnny. And you guys have been all key players to it, Johnny. You've been with us for a while too. So yeah, the channel's growing. And we enjoy it. Yeah, we get together and we talk about what we do here with you guys, the Rock Professor, the Rev. Certainly looking forward to Saturday's show with CJ Cheevers, the guy who authored the Van Halen Encyclopedia. If you guys are Van Halen nuts and you're not familiar with that publication, it's available on Kindle. Go and check it out on Amazon. I think it's up to two. I think it's a second edition. There's a first and second edition, but I think the current Kindle version is available in the second edition. Boy, this guy has done some research. I don't think he's wrong on anything. Hey there, brother.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
Oh, geez, I'm totally unprepared, guys, but
It's
please
okay.
forgive me. I didn't really expect to do a what do you call it? What do you call it again? The tone tips.
No, but I just saw a couple of comments, and we always aim to deliver.
Well, like you said, we try to please everyone on this channel. So, can you hear that?
I can hear that, bro. So, if you want to play for a couple of minutes, you can play us out. Yeah, cool. Thank you, everybody.
Is that loud enough?
That's great, bro. You can play us out. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to say goodbye before you play?
Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We will see you on Saturday, Friday night, American time, Saturday here with the Rev. And then we're going to be back with Simon, and we're going to be doing Led Zeppelin 4, Cat's Out of the Bag. Yeah? Is that what we're doing?
Correct, brother.
Yep. Goodness. Here we go, guys. See you guys.